What is it like to be me? Well, for starters, I was born and raised in the LDS Church. My family was a military family, so I moved around a lot, and having the background of the Mormon faith provided some stability in that chaotic childhood. I first knew that something was different about me at the tender age of 6. And it was generally mostly because I didn't get to do what the boys got to do. And so, taking the example of Joseph Smith, I went and found a spot in the woods near my home in Maine, and I knelt before my Father in heaven. And I said, "You made a mistake. I'm supposed to be a boy, and you can do anything. And so I know you'll turn me into a boy." Well, of course, that didn't happen, and I'm grateful that God knows His mind better than I do. I still had the attraction for girls, and I was always more affectionate towards them than boys. Boys were someone to play baseball with. They weren't anybody you wanted to get up close and personal with. And that progressed in my adolescence and early teenage years. When puberty hit, that's when this great affection began to change. And I knew that it wasn't quite copacetic with my faith. And you have to understand about me and my faith, I was always the first one every Sunday for testimony meeting to be at the pulpit. I had to be the first one up. I had to share my testimony. I had to get it out and let people know. And I told all my friends about my faith and my religion. And when I was baptized at 8, I knew that I would be cured once I got into that water, and it would be washed away, and the affections were still there. The difference was still there. And that began to change. My desperation grew to get fixed, for lack of a better word. I didn't like knowing I was going to never see God again because of something I was born with. And so, through prayer and fasting and splits with the sister missionaries in my 18 years, I knew that if I just kept at it, just kept at it, just kept at it, I would find my peace. And I thought maybe serving a mission would do that. And I got the day I was supposed to fill in my paperwork with my bishop, a conversation, if you will, from my Father in heaven in sacrament meeting. I felt Him holding me and saying, "It's not time, it's not time." And my bishop had the same experience, and he shared it with me at our appointment. Says, "I don't know why, but it's not time." And 2 weeks later, I met my ex-husband. And I had genuine affection for him. I had genuine attraction for him. And I'm like, oh, this is it. I'm cured. And my patriarchal blessings coming true. I found a man of my choosing. And we did go to the temple. And we were married for 11 years. Have 4 beautiful children, including a transgender daughter. And I know, even though that marriage ended, it was what I was supposed to do. That was my mission. And even though I battled same-sex attraction all throughout that marriage, and unfortunately diverted and broke my vows during that marriage for extramarital with women, it was still where I was supposed to be and what I was supposed to do because of those children. And everything in my life led up to those kids. Every one of them is like me in some way or other. Just as emotional, just as stubborn, just as sick-humored as I am. And they don't like it that Mom can read their minds. I have two that are out of the house. They're adults now, and I have two more that I'm still raising. And I couldn't have done it without the trials that I've had, without the prayers and the seeking and the struggle. And even though my struggles led to suicide attempts, the last one being when I was 28 years old, and my twins were only 10 months old. And I sat in a road and let a car hit me, fully expecting that the next face I saw was my Lord and Savior. He had other plans. And it's almost like he switched off the struggle. The depression was gone. And I began to find peace and harmony with who I was. And I prayed one night because the teaching of the church was I was going to hell for being gay. And 2 Nephi says, woe unto the liar, for he shall be thrust down to hell. I was going to hell no matter what. There was no way in or out. And I asked God, what's it all for? He said, be honest. He wanted me to be honest, and he cared more about that honest life than who I spent that honest life with. And that's when my faith and my spirituality and my sexuality merged and became this peaceful, joyful coexistence. And though I don't go to church regularly now, I miss the atmosphere, I miss the temple, but I'm okay because God still walks with me. He has always been at my side, no matter what. I still feel the promptings, even crazy promptings like pick up that couple on the side of the road that's traveling to Moab. You don't know them, but it's okay. And I pick them up and I take them home. Next thing I know, they're spending the night. And I don't know these people, but God told me to. And then I drop them off at their destination and never hear from them again. But they're God's kids too. And so he's still chatting with me. And from time to time, I can still look up and say, okay, you got to do something about this kid of yours. You know, because I'm a glorified babysitter to a degree. And I have to report back. And I want to give a good report on how I raised his children, including my transgender daughter, who would not be alive today had I not been her mother. Because had she had one of my family members, she'd not be alive. And I love my family, don't get me wrong. I adore them, and I love them so much, but they're not okay with my life. The majority of them, of extended family, is fine. The ones that matter the most to me, they still struggle with it, and that's okay. We've agreed to disagree. And we know what we can talk about and what we can't. I just wish and pray someday my mom will be willing to meet my wife. And it's because of my wife that I'm here today. She has taught me to fight for my rights, has taught me to stand up for myself and realize that a religious organization and a civil organization are two separate things. They don't have to be inclusive. They can stay separate. And because of that, I had to come share my story because I know there's others out there. There are other young women out there who identify the way that I did, who have battled with depression, who have thought maybe I'm gay because so-and-so in my family touched me wrong. You know, maybe I'm gay because of something I watched growing up, or it's the trend of the day. And I don't want them battling that depression and those thoughts of suicide the way that I did. I don't want them to face death to find peace. That you are okay, and we all are still children of a loving Father. And if you wouldn't turn your kid out for being gay, neither will he. That's my feeling, and that's my